Hawkins have shown success so far.
Meteor find disguised, or rather I should say disguised find Meteor, because that was a very quick Nemesis burst that ended up putting Meteor right back into a defensive position. Now they're going to throw out an ult themselves and try and close the gap. So Meteor moving up on Disguised are picking a fight, but Go Next have heard all this going on, and Go Next are walking in third party a fight, already having had red shields as Meteor and Disguised go head to head. I cannot help but think of the disaster that will befall them both as Disguised have lost 2. Meteor start to lose them permanently, but Go Next are already bubbling up to take this win and eliminate Disguised entirely.
Good lurking from Go Next, being able to clean up Disguise right there. You know, 2 Gibby ults is a little bit too flashy.
I think so. Supernova, they got in there, but they got in there a little bit later. Zone's closing in, so they defensively move on out, Arc starring behind them, and it's a little bit of a pathing error from walking that will cost them a little bit of damage to the ring. But it's still a game of gatekeeping. You can absolutely still do this. As Go Next will need to move in right behind Supernova. There's no way for them to really go around, and they're not the only team up there to need to do it. Virtus Pro are still outside of the ring as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna get crazy from this zone because this, like, up until this point, the zone hasn't really hurt that much. This one closing, however, is gonna hurt a ton. With the zone pulling actually east side more towards the coastal side on the height of the hill, it's gonna get iffy for a lot of teams actually, because this ring zone with also 8 teams in your way, is everybody gonna evac, or you're gonna have to run through 5 teams? It's gonna be tough.
I am still, like, those of you minimap watchers, pull up Face-It, open the minimap, watch what Virtus Pro is doing. It is some of the craziest macro in Apex Legends that I can remember seeing in recent history. Gibby Bubble going to come out as Go Next start to make their way in. We'll get to talk about the macro a little bit later on. Another nicely placed Arc Star as Uchako is going to walk right on over it, but managed to maintain his speed as a nice use of the mobile shield. Actually gets Go Next into the ring with relatively little trouble. Supernova are watching them, but Supernova couldn't do much.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard because you're kind of, due to the fact that you have the Newcastle Q and the GB Bubble, they could survive for so long. They even used wall preemptively and they didn't get anywhere with the wall. Could reset, go for another Q combo, and then still make it through. It's crazy, honestly.
Now, Dragons were taken down. They are squad a 19th to be taken out. But it was Crazy Raccoon, who, remember, were playing over by the Echo HQ side, who did it to them. So now moving in, we have to expect the Crazy Raccoon are going to own the eastern side of this next ring pull. Envy are going to have to make their way out as well and likely fight for the east at the same time because Coastal Camp doesn't have a lot of options. All of this open space really only leaves you that small bit of eastern cover provided by the natural rocks to play with.
Yeah, we're also getting to the slot right now into a fight here actually. Virtus Pro came in super late, got into a fight almost off the rip, and it looks like Lou is on his last small feet and he's very low HP. However, that fight is going to be really hard to go because the zone is actually moving in with him as there are 2 teams on the hill in front of him.
Back to just Lou again. Stallions actually can't even focus on finishing Lou because they've got yet another squad in front of them. This is looking really tough for Stallions as now with the ring at their back they have to take a fight. Crazy Raccoon and BK Gaming are going to go down. Meteor are going to go down. Stallions are going to go down. And all of that before Virtus Pro go down. Virtus Pro, in fact, are still alive.
They managed to take advantage of the fact of the chaotic that just happened on the other end of this of this slope. They managed to sneak in and he's still alive. And you know what the crazy part is? There's also a rest right there. Maybe, who knows? Maybe you could have got something if later on.
You actually can't make this up. Virtus Pro are still alive. They, after being spotted as a solo, after all that fighting calmed down, after there was only 1 or 2 teams looking at them, they may still survive yet. Keep your eyes on how many points they're able to accrue. But Source X and Y have got to be our next focus as they need to move out of low ground. And Johnny does a good job of opening up some damage, but it's not quite enough to push for. So Source are going to have to do this by triple swinging. They swing, unfortunately, into a Thermite. EXO going to do quite a bit of damage, but unfortunately it's not quite enough. Source X and Y don't get the team play that they wanted. They overstep, they misplay, and they fall to Go Next for it.
Go Next actually, you know, trading 2 for 3 right there was really good. They the team synergy to close out fights really well in PK fights especially. You saw it right there. All of them were triple swinging, but one team came out on top. Just goes to show, because I heard a lot of teams have been bubble practicing as well, and that's definitely one of them.
You're really well placed, Thermite, by going next to do this. Alliance going down, and I think just for contrast, I'm going to highlight it. Alliance going down before Virtus Pro. That's something that we're gonna keep track of it. Now with Envy starting to lose Yanya, this is going to get dicey as Guild start to swoop on in. Guild, one still expecting to do very well today, could start things off with a win in game 2 here to get some momentum going. Now Envy have lost Yanya fully. Not too much more though, and Guild, unfortunately, have been traded back on. Legacy is gonna get this res and Gibby Bubble for a little bit of extra safety, but Phony goes down. Jesk is going to fall as well, and it's just Legacy. A big fumble from Guild as their chance to accrue a little bit of kills just doesn't quite go their way. And Fnatic and Coastal Camp, you best believe they're getting their way. It's a bubble fight, and that means Fnatic are winning it. Enter Force 36 are gone.
Fnatic actually played the southern side this whole game almost, came from the tunnel side, cleaned up Coastal right now. As we saw the center action unfold, they cleared out the Coastal side. And now, Envy, I believe, might even be a duo? We'll have to see here. Another bubble fight straight in the center of the zone coming out from Go Next, who has been mopping the lobby.
Yeah, Go Next are actually very efficient about these fights. Green Stego are going to fall as well, but Go Next now own this whole ridgeline. Nobody couldn't really contest them. Envy are down to just a duo, as you mentioned, but at this point it may become a solo very quickly. Dropped is already being focused, and your last member is down over by Coastal Camp as well, so not looking too good for them as Fnatic actually could walk up on it. Fnatic are stepping up with a Kraber as well. I think the scary thing for Go Next has to be that Fnatic are focused on you, and Fnatic are a big favorite today, and they're a big favorite who lost a lot of momentum after game 1, and this is their chance to bring it back.
The momentum to bring it back is a Kraber shot, almost had it, it's almost there. PK and Kraber is a combination you didn't like to see back in the days. Now, however, it's super good due to the fact that most of the fights unfolded in this game right now in this meta is bubbled. And all you really need is a shotgun. The rest you can play sniper if you want to, or AR as a primary. Moving in, however, with this on the southern side is gonna be quite hard. It depends on who actually engages Go Next on opposite side, but that's actually they can actually coexist on both sides of this rock, which is a bad thing for Fnatic because they want somebody to take some heat from them.
Now Complexity's been a pretty quiet team this game. They haven't done too much. They've played in a corner, but now they're coming out to actually challenge some other squads. And it could not come at a better time as Fnatic start taking fights themselves. Complexity are going to get the chance to tangle with them, but Fnatic are taking this very slowly. Huge shot from Yuka with a 140. Clutching this bubble fight for them, making it so that nobody from Fnatic drops. Furia are going to go down, and that means that the fight from Complexity has been stalled. Fnatic get to reset. Complexity are stuck on the low ground. Supernova challenge just a little bit. This is anyone's game, Graceful, but Fnatic, they are looking still very much in charge.
Yuka pulling out over 400 damage in that bubble fight alone. Triple red armor. They have the god spot right now because everybody else is going to have to fight before them despite being on the southern side. They're looking to clean this up because there's actually just 2 solos and 2 teams, and the other 2 teams are in line of sight of each other before anything happens.
This, to me, is really between Fnatic and Complexity. Supernova don't have a lot of autonomy here. In fact, they're likely going to have to fight Complexity. Their other option is to go for the solo on Dropped, which is the much safer play, and yet the much less rewarding one, which is a very difficult choice to have to make. Supernova, their choice is going to be made either by them or for them. So we've got only a few seconds left until this ring starts closing. They're running out of cover. Timer's going in a lot of ways that they cannot control. Fnatic still setting up, still holding high ground, do have to manage 2 different teams as they're keeping their eyes on Complexity, but Complexity, they know exactly what's going on, and a quick bubble is going to put them right in the center of zone, perhaps in a slightly better spot as Supernova make the election to go finish off Envy. It is that lesser reward that puts them in a tougher spot, one where they likely will not survive either of Fnatic or Complexity, but that did get them an extra point.
I would say that's the right play every single time because you just went from top 5 to top 4. That means more placement points, also kill points. And Fnatic playing really slowly here, almost getting shredded immediately by the Sheila, however decides to bubble early. Other teams right now are just, you know, hoping that other teams play a little bit faster, but with the way the zone is moving, it's taking its good time. Look at this.
It feels bad to bubble early, but it was smart. You don't want to take risks. And Complexity aren't taking risks either. Not over peeking on these walls. Still waiting for bubbles to come up. We've got our first Gibby ult of the end game coming in. Fnatic moving on to low ground. Complexity not taking the height either. Nobody wanting to step forward. Even Supernova, who have managed to survive for so long, are dipping into zone to avoid taking the high ground. Now it's 3MC, the last member left of Dreamfire, who's sticking in those top 4, maybe hoping to make it to top 3 as Supernova start taking the fight. It is Monsoon who finds a quick double knock. Dreamfire and Supernova are both down, and it's into the top 2. Fnatic, Complexity, it was always between them, and a Gibby bubble plus an ultimate to go down right on top of it puts Fnatic, puts everyone in the dome with Complexity falling. It's 1, 2, and it's going to be another huge win for Fnatic!
Fnatic, oh. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit scared right there. They managed to actually clear out the solo and be the last to join the fray. I thought at that point, it's a free win. The other teams use their Gibby bubble, we can just Gibby ult them and they're dead. They decided to bubble forward, ult their own bubble, and I'm like, oh no, they threw their win. But when you're this strong at bubble fighting as Fnatic is, he wasn't even close.
Maybe it's, we called this earlier, results-based analysis. But in that moment, I had the same thought where I was like, okay, why did they do that? Like, literally, why'd you do that? And then I had this thought, Graceful, and I think this is actually real. I'm canonizing this in my head. I think that they bubble and they ult the bubble because they go outside the bubble is not safe. You must come inside the bubble. And this is where we will win. I think it's the Thunderdome play. You know, you go, listen, you can't stay outside. You must be in here. Because it works, and it works really, really well for Fnatic there.
It ended up working out well. I would still go on the tactical side of saying, let's just do it. 1 Gibby ult and free win the game. But if you want to make it interesting, and they have been the whole day, that's definitely the way to spice things up.
Yeah, and I mean, to keep things even more interesting, this 27-point victory now puts them right back in the conversation. Alliance had taken off really far ahead of them, and this game only whipped up a single point.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can't always, like, consistency is good and all, but there's almost, I don't think there's a single team so far in all tournaments combined in Apex history where you're just that hot throughout the entire tournament.
Of course.
But if, you know, if an 11 spot and one cold turkey is more than fine, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we've got time. We've got plenty more games, that's for sure. Do want to highlight, of course, our top 2 squads, Fnatic, who are, of course, the big winners of last game, and Complexity, who I'd like to praise for the way that they played last game as well. Very different games from these 2 teams, but Complexity, with their more passive play towards the pylon area, picked their moments really well, and that included up until the end game. They had a very good shot at winning. And, well, it ultimately comes down to a little bit of mechanics, a little bit of timing, a little bit of who's got priority on the zone. I think Complexity gave themselves the best chance to win that they could have.
Yeah, they did, because they ended up getting, like, they were the team that got pushed. If Fnatic got pushed, that Complexity would be the third one. But they ended up being pushed. They did get up the wipe at least, and getting second is, you know, it's nice. However, you know, overall points here, we can't, you know, stop reminding, I never will stop reminding everybody is that look at the amount of points they have. When you get 20, and that's 5 average essentially in 4 games, is that you now have room to not have hot game, you have room to have cold games like Alliance maybe just had. They had such a huge start, this one doesn't matter for them. Even though they're pretty much already guaranteed in the winner bracket, let's be completely honest, this series alone, for most teams, you're looking to aim for that 30 marker because, like we said before, the average after the whole series is around 90 plus minus 5. Could be a little bit off, but
Yeah. Very, very good series so far from both Fnatic and Alliance, top performers both. So I'm very happy with how they've managed to play these games so far. Very funny to see these 2 teams going away back to back, and maybe we'll get a tiebreaker in game number 3. LGS, and today our players are honestly going to be competing in some of the most comfort possible, Graceful. It's been a fantastic day for them, and I'm very glad that we've got everyone comfortable in Herman Miller's. In the meanwhile, we've got some fantastic chairs to check out backstage as well, or backstage in the area, not our backstage, the backstage that's behind the stage, but it's not backstage. I don't know what to call that.
It's for the fans, fan stage.
The fan stage? It is backstage. I know that if you're not here, it's actually on the right side, but it's behind everything because the whole arena is, well, it's quite. I need to come up with a better way.
They all get to test it.
But we've got a pretty chair back there, so that was where I was going with that. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the game, because that is where I'm most comfortable, Graceful. We've got our third game coming up, and as we alluded to before the break, we are very close to determining the winner, hopefully, of this tie-break game that I'm hoping for between Fnatic and Alliance. But even if we don't get that, even if we have somebody else coming out on top entirely, even if Fnatic and Alliance go down in 19th and 20th, which would never happen in a million years, maybe, possibly, it could happen this game, we are going to get the next step, of course, in this B and D matchup, which is the second set of 3 that both of these groups will play before moving on to the next stage. So they're finishing the majority of their group stage, both of them, today, whether they liked it or not.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been looking good for some teams with, with the momentum of the game from the first set going into the second, while it's been looking cold for other teams going from the first game into the second. They can always pick it back up, because even if you ended up not having a good group stage, you still have, a solid chance to still make it through. And we've seen the underdog run by many teams, actually. One, famously known, or, even NA as well coming out. There's so many teams that start cold, get harder as the tournament moves on. So hang in there and you can make it through.
At this point, it is going to be largely about tenacity. Let's talk about what we can expect from the next map, because we are changing maps, Graceful. We started off on Storm Point, and now we're moving on over to World's Edge. Those will be our next 2 games. So this, as we always say, should be a really familiar map for our pros. It is the most familiar map in all of Apex Legends competitive. What I'm curious about is what it'll look like realistically between these 2 groups, because we've still had a lot of Edge teams dominating. World's Edge does typically reward squads that are able to play zone a little bit better, but I'm not seeing that play out in the same way as it usually does today.
No, we definitely haven't seen too much. Like, if anything, I would almost say that every team that ends up playing early rotate has been punished a lot of the time. But with this POI drafting as well, you can see that teams that have opted for Edge have had more success as of lately. And I don't know if it's the pacing and people are still feeling things out, because as you know, they might have been scrimming as well, but scrim timing is vastly different. Because scrimming, people are, fighting a lot more often, rotating weirdly. And now when there's 8 teams in the same scenario, and then they all, this is the craziest part. If you're an early rotating team and I'm already in the spot that you thought it was, you assume that I know where the zone is.
Yes.
Sometimes it has happened to me on LAN as well, where I'm like, oh, there's 4 teams here. They definitely know where the zone is, so we're gonna go here as well.
Yeah.
Nobody had zone knowledge, and we're all in the wrong spot. And that happened exactly to Pylon as well. What happened? 8 teams were hard struggling getting up that hill, and we saw at least 6 teams fall on the north side of that hill going towards the southern side.
Yeah.
And honestly, playing early right now, unless you know where the zone is, kind of risky.
Yeah, I remember you used to see this a lot more when scanning our survey beacons was more common, when everybody ran recon all the time.
Yeah.
But when looking through player density on the map was a big indicator, or the biggest indicator of where the zone is going.
Yeah.
You'd see a lot of teams that would get a couple of squads rotating by them, and suddenly everybody would sort of fake themselves out that the zone was actually pulling there, even though nobody knew, because they were all just like, oh, there are a lot of people here, so maybe the zone is ending here, when the zone was really ending basically nowhere near there. There was no scan, there was no data, it was all just people, and they all had to adapt very quickly. So it is funny how teams can make different reads off of each other. In contrast, this meta has given us a lot fewer recon characters. We got mostly controllers, mostly supports. In fact, I'm looking across what's been picked this particular game, and I'm seeing just Furia on the Valkyrie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good pick. Sometimes if you are also struggling with certain parts of the game, you can make up for that by just swapping compositions potentially. And I like seeing, you know, a little bit of different stuff rather than just having the same 90% of the comps or even more. Like some of these picks might even be in the 100%, you know. Maybe Gibby, maybe Newcastle are the two ones we've seen the absolute most. We're also seeing more teams opt into Catalyst. Is this a map-dependent pick because World's Edge is a little bit harder to cross certain areas? Could be. I would like to see, though, you know, a little bit more of refreshing picks, such as Caustic from VP. I like that a lot.
Yeah, well, you know what? Caustic from VP. There we go, bottom left. So everyone, all those Caustic enjoyers are going to hopefully get their giggles out in this game. We do have, you know, I'd say a more challenging map for Caustic, which I didn't think I'd be saying about World's Edge, but just when compared with E-District, Caustic does not get as much value on World's Edge, although it may be easier to uproot people from buildings.
Yeah.
I really like the look of Caustic on E-District, so much so that it's replaced World's Edge as the sort of top map for Caustic for me.
Yeah, definitely. You know, with all the smaller tunnels in E-District, tunnels, it's definitely a favorable pick. But when you're walking through chokes and stuff, it doesn't really matter. You have your abilities, you have your bubbles, you have your Newcastle Qs. These fights happen a lot earlier on, though, in this map, because now's the time to fight if you want to fight. Otherwise, it's too late because everybody else is rotating.
We hadn't spent that much time on Supernova earlier, but now that we have, I do want to point it out. Walking L, hilarious name. Absolutely fantastic name. And I'm overjoyed that we get to cast him. Thank you very much. Stallions are going to be setting up inside of the zone. Now, we may not see it on the mini-map, but we've got it confirmed, as over here is going to be where the majority of teams should start congregating. We're unlikely to see a sniper tower finish, but Countdown at least is going to get very crowded very quickly, as Dragons, Stallions, now Dreamfire are already here. Dragons being set up all the way towards the north side, actually have a really nice position, and even better if you have Caustic, but you know, not everybody can be Virtus Pro.
Definitely more, definitely true. I like seeing evac plays early on because now you're occupying the areas, and this is even more scary because I remember doing this back without Newcastle and also Gibby combination. It was horrifying playing in these tunnels. Now, it's kind of comfy, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, now you can be bubble fought anywhere, so whether it's in a tunnel or not, things can get uncomfortably close, so we'll say it feels at least about the same being anywhere else. Stallions are going to start farming up their Evo. They haven't got that much going already, but it is one of the more comfortable metas, as we said earlier, to be low on Evo. We've seen a few teams get perhaps a little too comfortable with it, but E36 are not going to be one of those. Sitting on blues already, they're negative rotating out towards Climatizer, which is a fascinating move from E36. Their edge play today has not yielded as many results as some others, but I think it's a difficult lobby to really make those comparisons to about yourself in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's honestly a solid choice because on this map, I think we see about 3 to 4 edge teams only comparatively to 8, you know, the past couple of matches, is that you have more leeway to just go farm objectives, and if you can do that alone, you're the ones coming in with red armor, you know, as opposed to being double white blue in the center zone. Coming in with triple red in a bubble fight is really good.
Reminds me of Go Next last game. They were rocking up at a solo from Virtus Pro on like purples already. It was nuts. And actually, speaking of Go Next, they're going to inherit a kill. So a very nice pickup on Casa. And it'll be a singular KP for them so far, but who's to say where that'll go for Go Next, as they've got plenty of time out here in Monument, and again are opting maybe not into a hard edge play style as much as we just saw Enter Force 36 going for, but certainly a slower rotation where I'd like to see them play for a few more objectives and hopefully some straggling kills.
Yeah, I mean, getting these pickoffs is fine. They just want to clear out a certain side of the map, looking to see if they can, you know, harvest more kills and points as well. I think that later on, they'll probably play a little bit more objective now and then move into the choke, but they're always on the prey for like people fighting on edge because once again it's all about speed. Like you don't want to be too early, you don't want to be too late. You want to be just perfect to where if fights happens on either side of the map, you want to be able to 3P that because the more, you know, more teams on the same side, you will be able to collapse.
What does this count as? Too early, too late, Just right.
Yeah.
Force 36 meeting Fnatic. I'm going to say just right about now. This is a very serendipitous meeting of the two squads, both encountering each other over Evo, but I'd like to see the fight continue, especially as Fnatic now know that Enter Force 36 not only have blue shields, but are down a member and are going to take a little bit of time in recovering. Fnatic are fully on the push, and Melstera doesn't quite connect the wall jump, but the rest of the team is going to be following that up, and still, the grenade from Leica is going to finish this thirst, so E36 are not recovering.
Yeah, and this is the thing, is that they are now running away with stragglers, and they're also getting held out by another team up on the north side, most likely, because everybody's hearing these shots. Everybody's seeing this ultimate as well. Now, the further you take, and if you're on the northern side too late, people kind of hear you, across the map. It's not good.
I can't believe that. It's still connecting. I mean, it may only be 75 damage total, but
yeah,
UKF is landing shots from a ways away. Fnatic are going to continue their rotate as it was planned earlier, stopping by for a bit of Evo, now getting a kill on top of it, so maybe a little more Evo, and continuing on. Now, Enter Force 36 do get a respawn over in Epicenter, and Fnatic could choose to continue this whole escapade by jumping right on top of them, and it looks like that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, but now it becomes scary because they're getting closer and closer towards the zone as well, where more teams are arriving and are already lurking. Will this be a repeat of what happened before when they overchased? I don't know.
Virtus Pro picked up a few kills. Crazy Raccoon following in the same way. I don't see them actually being able to stick to the fight, however, as they did take a little bit too long getting out of the door. Sangjun gonna jump right on over the wall, and Sangjun is thirsty for blood. I've never seen a Gibby move this fast, but now you know that you've got your prey right where you want them, and Sangjun going to be looking with the rest of the squad, Obli and Jusna, for these last two kills. PK shot not going to connect through the cat wall, but it's going to do plenty after that as Izadan will fall with extraordinary speed, netting Crazy Raccoon yet another kill, but importantly not a squad wipe, as Go Next still have a survivor.
Crazy Raccoon staying hungry, and they're not scared to take fights, even though they might not have had armor advantage. They're still not scared. You don't have to be scared because you're blue into purple every single time if you get an opener, and they manage to get one.
Go Next is going to be retreating down towards Harvester. Crafter there, so pretty quick recovery should be available for Go Next. The concern would be Furia, who are also negative rotating down towards the south. Enter Force 36 are making their way into Fragment, and Fnatic, who have continued just completely unbothered, are moving through the north. This will be an interesting point for Fnatic. Do they choose to go through Skyhook, continue playing this really hard edge, or do they make the commitment to start fighting through teams that are already in zone? Do they feel that they're well looted enough to start playing this game?
Yeah, I mean, there's many options for them to decide on. I believe that they feel comfortable enough to take on any fight. If I were them, I'd most likely, go on the northern side, because east side is almost always congested from this zone. But if you're ahead early on and you get gatekeep, they could even just rotate a little bit later, because right now they're just scouting. At this point, you're in the scouting phase, because every other team is already set up, really.
And I do wonder what this setup will net for a lot of squads. Go Next do hit the respawn as a quick note, but when you are already in zone, when you've been there for a while, soon we're going to start to see teams that need to move. Perhaps, unfortunately, for a lot of them who did not predict to have to. BK Gaming making quick moves, but instead vertical ones as they try to pick a fight up against Furia. They haven't quite found Purchase yet. Finally, Keon's going to go down as he got a little bit too aggressive on Jakasa, and it's a completely split Furia that lets BK Gaming get even more aggressive, taking out Madness and setting Furia back 2 members.
Just so you know, second zone closing, 30 seconds left, and that's pretty much, around the first. It's 19 squads alive, yeah. Right now, the action is about to unfold as more teams are, closing in towards the center of the zone. But Furia getting out one guy alive. This zone, they can still out-heal. Are they going to reset in the exact same spot as Go Next did?
I think they are. I think Harvester is the place to reset this game. And Furia path right on back there. I think my question will be, whether Furia can then make it through Go Next, who are going to be rotating through the south as well. This will be interesting. Crazy Raccoon are actually ratting here. VK Gaming could just walk right up on this. Sangjun's playing patiently, and Sangjun will be the first to spot if anyone comes on over this hill, but they're waiting for it. I don't know if we'll get to see it.
Yeah, but, you know, lurking. They're lurking. Fnatic's lurking. Everybody's lurking. The only people that are actively looking for stuff are the people in the zone, but some people in the zone aren't in the next ring. And you know what I said about before? If you don't know exactly where the zone is ending and you've just been sitting in those buildings for 5 minutes, you're not stacked, and you're gonna get gate kept by people that just came a little bit later with purple-red armors. It's gonna be tough.
Oh, look at this. I thought Crazy Raccoon was gonna move off towards the north where Fnatic were and actually get ratted on in a way themselves, but instead they're going to follow through this train tunnel in the steps of VK Gaming. Now, if you're VK, you are not expecting this. A negative rotate when you heard nothing, when you saw nobody through the spot you just came from is going to catch you completely off guard, and it should catch a team like Go Next off guard as well. Crazy Raccoon have no business coming through this tunnel, and they could be a serious X factor in landslide.
Speaking of, you know, not being aware of something, Furia coming in probably about 59 minutes later from the zone as well, where Harvester with the reset could also surprise the many teams on the southern end of the map.
They're actually going to be walking up, I believe, right next to Alliance. So we can see the kill feed lighting up between those two squads very quickly. Both teams liking to get aggressive, and Alliance actually getting too aggressive for their own good. Hackis falls very quickly, and Furia, despite the late rotate, despite eating zone, give nothing up for free.
Yeah, but even though you go down, here's the meta, baby. You get the reset, you're trading. You're actually trading in this bubble fight. And huge Qs come out. Keon looking to do something. Unlucky again. 2 for 0. He killed all 3 of them.
We're actually trading. Hold on, unlucky. That's just upsetting. I would not. I mean, I'm happy for Unlucky, but I'm very sad for Furia.
Yeah.
Having picked one first and then having all 3 fall. That's devastating after they put in so much work to recover as well. But fortunately, they're not the only ones. They will have the company of Green Stega, who have just fallen as well. So game 3 proving challenging for a lot of people in this set. One more time on World's Edge, though, might be the chance for both teams to bring this back. Meteor maybe requiring one of their own as they are starting to eat a few nades, a lot of damage, and Envy are giving no space where it is not needed. Bubbles on both sides, and Meteor are in big trouble if Envy choose to pursue this.
They decided, I'm not sure if they managed to scout one of Alliance members or not, or if they just said, hey guys, this fight is taking too long because they're still in the truck. They decided to disengage because they have a closer rotate straight towards the zone. Meteor, however, triple blue late rotate between Alliance and also Envy, potentially somebody else from Landslide. It is terrifying.
Yeah, I am very nervous about what's going to go on over at Landslide and even over here in Countdown, as we've got a lot of people giving up their spots. Dragons are going to be one of those squads who've got to move down to the south. Do they fight Stallions for the high ground? Do they try and fight Enter Force 36 for the low? Are they forced into fighting Supernova or Fnatic for this weird eastern rotate you can take? There's a lot of options that you have, and it's tough because at this point in the game, if you're a team that isn't positioned already in a good spot, none of them feel good.
Yeah, I mean, getting held out when you're forced to make crazy rotates is fine if it's maybe one team on the side, but being right now in between Alliance and Envy here, we see Envy rotate close side alongside his mountain. They're going to be in a solid spot because they have a Catalyst wall as well to help them.
Guild, unfortunately, will go down. Crazy Raccoon, that X factor in Landslide that we talked about, could start making waves right here and now. VK Gaming are going to be right ahead of them, and Sangjun is taking plenty of time with the cover provided by the Catalyst wall to move on up and challenge Go Next, as Hyarka, Uchako, and Izadan do lose their shield. Arcstar not going to connect as the as the Newcastle wall does exactly what it's supposed to and keeps them safe. But Crazy Raccoon and Go Next are fighting, no doubt about it. Fnatic also fighting themselves up against Supernova, have locked them out of the zone temporarily. But Yuka in the bubble fight drops down to 25 HP, swings again, hits for 99, and almost does it as Supernova still claim the fight. Instant third party from Disguise is going to shut that down, and Alliance on the other end of this whole ring are fighting up against Liquid Alienware, and unfortunately, on the losing end of it, Crazy Raccoon fight up against Go Next does not go their way, as Go Next are going to clean all of that up, and it is 3 fights across the ring that have all given us the 3 power points of the map. Disguised in the north, Go Next in the south, and in the eastern, or rather western side, Stallions still reign supreme.
It's hard to catch all the action because we've seen about 6 teams go down at the same time. Fight in the northeast, fight in the southern, southwest, fight in the southern side. You know, we can't catch all the action, but we are seeing some rest action, however. Teams are finally slowly leading into getting their own corners in the next zone now that's still around a building where Stallions have been sitting the entire game. Can they close this game out, or can they even get some kills? When there's too much action, I'm not sure if they're willing to peek out too much.
Stallions have got to be the big team that I'm looking at, because they, as we pointed out, they are one of those 3 kings of the ring right now. Disguised took the north, Go Next took the south, and Stallions, of all squads, have got the biggest advantage and did without fighting anybody. They've been here for so long, they have high ground in Countdown. This is a very difficult spot to challenge.
It is difficult indeed. I actually believe I only saw 2 people there, but Go Next found the one missing person on Alliance running around, I believe. They're looking to chase him down, but because the zone has gotten so small now, they're actually getting punished by other teams for using utilities, so they can't overextend. And Go Next being really disciplined. Hey guys, let's just make sure we don't die here. Play it slow. We're putting out our wall. We're putting out our bubbles. Looking to reset. And now they probably have some time to read because they own the northeast side.
Very passive play, but very good play just got made by Go Next. The fact that they end up putting a Catalyst wall is an absolute, we don't want to fight you, we want no part of it. It does give Liquid Alienware a foothold, but that was a really smart play by Go Next. Now unfortunately, while it was happening, Stallions went down, so we've lost one of our major players, and that's going to be the high ground of Countdown that's now entered the chat. It's available, you know, you can come hang out with the high ground in Countdown. The question is whether it's even desirable anymore, as Complexity are fighting for the low ground for this small choke point that has suddenly become the best place, the happening spot. With Sheila all revved up, these bubbles are going to expire, and you can't be standing in this hallway anymore.
Standing in this hallway is crazy because they actually got thirded by Enter Force from the God spot. Now they end up fighting. Complexity is down below in the tunnel, feeling really good, and up top as well. Looking to close out kills, getting several knocks, but I don't believe any thirst so far. Now we see Monsoon here in this tunnel, feeling really confident, hitting some shots here, and they're just looking to control the space.
While we have all these fights happening over at Countdown, we cannot forget Go Next and Liquid Alienware. They are the 2 teams on the outside of Countdown that do not have to get involved in this. They have to third party at the right time, and they cannot forget about each other. If one forgets about the other for an instant, they could lose the game. They could be third party, they could be shot in the back, and there would be nothing they could do about it. So as Complexity absorb this fight and do it in stylish fashion, there's a lot of very nice movement in this bubble fight up against Disguise. Complexity will still win it. Go Next participate, and as Go Next send it, remember what they are giving up. Liquid Alienware fighting on the other side are going to be up against Dreamfire, and just as quickly Dreamfire are going to evaporate. Liquid Alienware do go down, but Dreamfire follow immediately, and it's Go Next that now get to come in, swoop in, clean up, and claim Game 3.
Go Next has shown both aggressiveness of sweeping that fight up north at the end, late part, into leading into another finish at the end to close out the game. They've been playing phenomenal the whole game actually, despite needing to run around and reset the event. Came back with that, ended up choosing many good fights, and then at the end, we were talking about Liquid as well as Go Next. They actually decided to split and take one side each. However, Go Next seems to have done it more clean.
Yeah, I'm looking at the timings just from when we cut between those perspectives.
Yeah.
I'd say Go Next did it second. Looking at how committed Team Liquid was in their own fight versus Go Next on their third party, I think this was a matter of Team Liquid deciding they were going to commit to one thing, and Go Next going, all right, if they're doing that, we're going to do this, and then we will meet again later, which I think was a very smart decision, very heads-up decision, and a nice read from a team with a lot of LAN experience. Go Next. You know them.
I do know them. I actually played accidental rank with one of them recently as well. We bumped into each other, had a good time. Yeah, but as you said, they decided, hey, they thought we have time and room to fight. They closed out their fight faster, came up ahead, and then closed out the game. Even if it came down to a 3v3, I'm pretty sure they still would have taken the game.
You mean if it had come down to like straight 3v3?
Yeah, I think they would have still taken the game. They were hot, and they were also hunting everyone.
They were feeling confident. It is very much a game about momentum, as much as mathematically it doesn't seem so.
Yeah.
It really does come down to it quite often in Apex Legends. 23-point finish for Go Next, which is a very nice spot to be ending their third game with. Enterforce 36 are going to be coming up behind them with 14 points, then Dreamfire and Liquid Alienware, I think surprising me with a pretty low point count for all that they were able to accrue in this match. They're not demonstrating that same aggression in this match as much as they were playing like it. They weren't getting kills like it.
Yeah, sometimes, even though you're in the right spots all the time, sometimes you just can't close out the kills. And that's probably what happened to them. On the opposite side of things here, seeing our top three, we actually saw a few teams that were placing high but not enough, kills. And I think that's because you're in that area where there's too many teams alive. You want it to be kind of in between so you have some leeway to, opt for thirsting people getting some more pokes in. But when there's that many teams collapsing on you, you just... I think it's also jitters. People are a little bit scared of making up.
In that specific zone as well.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's difficult to pick up points. There's a lot of limiters, but going into the halftime, this is where we're at. Go Next currently lead this group matchup with 43 points. So it's been relatively quiet from them, relatively consistent for them on top of all of that. A huge amount of placement points for them. Alliance and Fnatic following that up, though, are going to be, I think, the storyline right behind Go Next. It would be fantastic to see Go Next continue to rocket ahead. Alliance and Fnatic, they are the big scary titans that came out this morning and were terrifying, and now are looking to cement their spot in the next stage of the competition. It's been wonderful watching all of these 3 games so far, and I gotta say, Graceful, I'm very excited that we've got 3 more, but before we jump to those 3, I'd love to hear from our analyst desk.
Thank you so much, Dia and Graceful. We were having a great time hearing you guys as well as we welcome you back to the desk. Rain Day here again with Jayhawk, Zephyr, and Lace to break down the action after 3 in our final series of the day. We talked about EMEA showing up in Series 2, guys, and, obviously Alliance kind of started out very strong here yet again, but it's another EMEA team in Go Next who just finished extremely strong as well. This is kind of waking up sleeping giants, potentially. These are the teams that you don't go into LAN, into champs, thinking will kind of control the narrative, but are so good that now if they become a problem, it shifts everyone's perspective on where they really need to focus on dealing with. And I think Go Next is a perfect example of a team, a little bit of an underdog, but has MVP caliber play, especially from Zidane.
Yeah, and I think that EMEA as a region has really embraced that almost the entire year. If we think back to LA, that happened too in the group stages. EMEA came out firing. Then we see Alliance lift a trophy.
Right.
Then we go into Germany and Gaming Gladiators takes over. It's been a variety of EMEA teams, and so the region continues to look stronger and stronger. Aurora's been fantastic.
Right.
Can Go Next throw their hat into that ring with this kind of a performance.
It's a beautiful thing as we've seen these regions kind of get over their own personal narratives. APAC North, EMEA, we're waiting to see what will ultimately happen. Of course, North America been dominating for so long. But let's go back to the beginning of these first games and walk you through how it did continue to create the EMEA showing up conversation. And Zeph, that all started with Alliance.
once again representing after some phenomenal play all day long. Had a great rotation out from the north. No surprises there when it comes to Storm Point as a whole here, but for Alliance, their pace of control from down below this PY to back up to some of these incredible resets here in this final circle where they take advantage of a lot of the focus of these other teams being more on each other than, of course, where we directly see them here. So a lot of excellent pacing that allows them to at least go for some of these full wipes, and then even when they're down and out, a complete full member, they get those major callus walls out in impact, you get for a full reset, and at that point, it's just quick cleanup.
Yeah, playing behind this mobile shield, so solid in terms of, you know, kind of understanding how that is. You think of a traditional fragger like Unlucky picking up Newcastle, feeling seamless, and you've seen Fnatic. This feels, and it's felt like a meta they would do well in, and they're proving that again with another win.
Yeah, their bubble fights have been impeccable throughout this entire LAN. They've done a really good job of being the team that gets the bubble down last. I think their macro has been absolutely on point. This is a southern zone. 3 of the other top 5 teams are coming from that south side. Fnatic's coming from Lightning Rod. That's a POI that's so far away that we're not going to typically see that team win. But then as you see here, once again, the bubble comes down late. The wall comes down late. These are things that you have to be last with if you want to try and win that fight, because then you control the pace of play, and then once they do, they get the win.
So patient, and that looked like it would be the conversation. Alliance and Fnatic, who else? Well, Lace, Go Next answered that. They were inserting themselves in the conversation.
Yeah, you know, we've been talking about Alliance, but you know what? We want to hear something Go Next. And starting on this, you know, the outskirts of staging here. And as Wig likes to say, the double bubble trouble, I'm going to add a McDouble into that one. But they absolutely kept the pace with this team. And to have, you know, juggernauts, as we said, like Dreamfire on their tails, and to be able to capitalize on this and absolutely show why EMEA, you know, is in the running. Are they going to be a little bit of an underdog, kind of like Aurora, going to take in their shoes? But exceptional job from them, and you can just see like the patience that they showed in this final zone. It was just calculated for them to be able to solidify this win as quick as they did.
Big stuff from Ayarka, Shaco, and of course Zidane, who over our Pro League and online splits has had many moments of receiving those accolades of best team, MVP, and now doing it on the main stage. This is that transition period for players as they go in with 43 points into the final 3, where they get to see if they can cement this into a team that we start talking about tomorrow, or if this is just a flash in the pan, Jayhawk, because this is often the deciding moment. Do Alliance, Fnatic, Crazy Raccoon start to kind of take over Virtus Pro? They've been doing solid. Do they bounce back and Go Next fall a little bit? This is a huge opportunity for them to kind of seize this momentum and ride it out to the end.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned Crazy Raccoon right there. I do want to point out one thing. They had 24 total points, and 21 of them are kills. That was similar in the first set where they were so KP heavy. That's not typical for this team. Once again, we talked about evolution earlier.
Right.
When they won in Los Angeles, they were a team that was getting to zone early, getting a strong position with Watson and holding it. Right now, they're slaying the lobby, and so I'm wondering, when the bracket stage rolls around, if they bring back some of that placement-oriented stuff with the killing power they now have, they could be scary.
Yeah, and maybe it's just they're trying to force their game, too. It doesn't feel like maybe the spots are getting in, maybe the placements aren't well with how their draft picks went on. You'll be able to see that draft live tomorrow as we get set with our elimination brackets. But also, you'll be able to see something special this weekend that we've done before. Obviously, we love playing, but we love playing positively as well. And there will be an award this weekend for the positive player. Let's go ahead and check out what I'm talking about.
Not a good play, not a good play, help me!
Against Alliance. The beam coming in from empty.
You're on Marty.
Strong.
Having a chat with me today and good luck. Thank you.
So who will it be, Hockeys or MT, to join the ranks of players who have received the Positive Player Award? And, of course, Big Verholz won that one prior. So it's going to be a fun time this weekend. We'll see who ends up winning. But you know what, Lace? There's also some fun things happening right now. You had a chance to check out the Fun Zone going on in Daiwa House. Let's see it.
There are many things to do in the Sapporo Dome for the ALGS, and one of them is at the Sony in-zone booth, where you can actually 1v1, say, another fan, a content creator, or even a pro. And if you do happen to win, you'll get yourself an in-zone earbud. So make sure you take the chance to do so. There is also going to be a little bit more than just the 1v1s. You'll be able to listen to some Q&As, and you never know who's going to show up for those. They could potentially be anyone, so make sure you check out the schedule here in the Fan Zone.
The Fan Zone. Okay, I said the Fun Zone, but it just felt like
Same.
Felt like you're having a lot of fun.
Identical.
Identical kind of conversation there. It is crazy. You know, this day we're kind of settling in. It's packed. There's more people here than some of our bigger days at other events, but there's a lot to do over there. Herman Miller chairs, the incredible in-zone 1v1 stations where Vicky did not beat me, okay, by the way. That didn't happen. No matter what you saw at the beginning of the
Just a
series.
warm-up.
It was just a warm-up. It's cold.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said it might get more than just a few games. Guys, it's been fun. We've got 3 more to go to close out the series. We'll have a great idea for those watching at home who came to play here in Sapporo. But for right now, we got 3 more games for players to answer that question. We got 2 guys who are ready to go. I know they're excited for this one. Mark, Dan, take it away.
What did we do? What have we done?
Oh,
Why is
man.
that so funny? Why is that so funny? We will never know. But we will take it away. We'll give you a chance to catch your breath. We are in what can only be described as a celebratory mood right now. We're getting towards the end of the day, and obviously we've got some more games to get through before we do get there, Dan. But like Rain Day just summed it up. I don't know why the vibe's like that, but it kind of is, right?
I like it.
We're just happy to be here.
Look,
Maybe
it's just,
people laugh.
you know, first day vibes. It's fun. We're excited. And, you know, Game 4 is coming very soon. We've got World's Edge again before we go into E-District. And we just saw GoNext take the victory. And not only take the victory, but also topping the leaderboard as it stands. And they have created a little bit of a gap away from Alliance. And that's impressive because Alliance have looked insane so far today. And if they can find any sort of form from earlier games, then maybe they can just top this group once more.
I mean, the day so far, you have to say, has belonged to EMEA, right? And APAC North.
Yep.
North America been a little bit quiet. APAC South been a little bit quiet by their own standards. And for the EMEA boys, I just wonder if this is a case of the last few weeks of practice being kind of the practice with the, you know, the training weights on, so to speak,
Right.
with the ping difference that they've had to go through, with all of that stuff we talked about a little bit earlier. Now that we get to land, now that there's not that ping difference, all of a sudden they get the boost, they get the buff, and they're looking like some of the strongest out there.
Oh, suddenly my shots are actually connecting. Suddenly we can actually take these fights, and maybe that aggression they weren't able to play with, now they can finally actually play to their full performance. Very excited for this one. World's Edge, we haven't actually seen World's Edge, you and I, so far today. We've already done E-District and Stormpoint, so back to the basics for World's Edge.
The World's Edge is our first little look at it today. Very excited, of course, always to cast on World's Edge. Will always and forever be my favorite map in Apex Legends. I don't care how many games I've played on it. There's always something new to find out and a new angle to be held. And some of these teams, we'll have to wonder if there's going to be some new scores to be settled as well. GoNext currently sitting in a wonderful position in our leaderboards in our matches between Group B and D. Elsewhere, kind of looking across some of the other teams that we have in our lobby that have been a little bit quiet so far. It's surprising not to see Envy maybe having the impact in this lobby that I would expect.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, with how good Envy were in scrims and previous tournaments, BLGS, etc., we were maybe expecting a big boom from them when it comes to this tournament, but I don't think it's a problem if you're not peaking day 1. I think it's a problem if you haven't peaked by day 2.
If you just don't peak.
If you don't peak at all, that's definitely a problem.
That
But,
is tier 1.
if you're dropping into the elimination bracket, that's when the situation gets a little bit dicey. The World's Edge is upon us. Ignore the fact that Enter Force 36 may have been eliminated. That hasn't happened. I can see them. They're alive and well and raring to go, as we are.
I will say that Gibby left the dropship in a very amusing way to me. Did you see that?
I didn't.
Everyone else kind of did the normal. The Gibby just went feet first. Like this. Pencil dive. Yeah.
Well, if anyone can do it, Gibraltar can. All right, well, we are into it. And of course, go next. Our previous winners, they get the loot cam. I'm trying to check to see who has priority to zone. Zone, still a difficult one to call right now before we get any zone information. But Furia down towards Mirage Etoile, they're going to have a ring console to work with. Stallions also at Lava Fisher can have a ring console as well. So both teams on that far west side are going to be able to move and traverse very quickly, which is going to be good for them because it is going to be a zone that is somewhat close. We're going to be heading down towards Staging and Harvester, all between the two.
Interesting to see what this... I mean, my initial reaction to that is potentially like a Hill House finish on the respawn building that we see sometimes. Maybe it is going to pull in towards Harvester a little bit more, but I would say, judging from that first circle, it's somewhat of a surprise to see the circle where it is, so to speak. So that beacon information as we move through the game is going to be more and more important for these teams as we jump on board with Dreamfire. 7th place overall at the moment, 21 points for them. Certainly not rewriting the history books as far as points on the board is concerned, but a solid enough start for them.
Yeah, they're just hugging this eastern side of the circle right now. Fnatic above them, Disguised below them, but they will want to move a little bit further west over towards the likes of Harvester. I'll be interested where Furia actually go as well, by the way, because we did see them hit that ring console at Mirage Etoile, move very quickly down the stage. Yeah,
interesting to see if Dreamfire and Fnatic are having a little bit of a kind of a squabble over the respawn village that we're seeing here. Who's going to get that off of the drop? Because you saw that Yuka was kind of overextending. He's had to now get back to his team who are over at Overlook, and Dreamfire, who dropped in and around, the mid-map, in and around Fragment. Maybe they were trying to overextend and take that themselves. So maybe that's just a little bit of posturing between the two teams here on World's Edge to decide who is going to own that loot. But elsewhere, two teams who do have a little bit of loot are going to be fighting inside of the Vault Tunnel here. It's going to be Dragons on one side and Supernova on the other.
There's a third team as well in the mix, maybe just above them that could very much join. No, they are going to be on the other side of this. So this is going to be a sad situation for the first entries, but a great situation for Dragons to arrive as the third party.
Green Stego gone. No Champagne Supernova this time around. They will be out first in the lobby as well. So our first two teams have been eliminated, and that is about as simple a job as you can ask for when a fight is appearing in front of you and nobody else is in the vicinity. This one looks a little bit more awkward though. VP are going to be outside of Climatizer at the moment. They've got Force 36, who we saw take a game a little bit earlier today on their tails.
VP have a lot of rocks to work with. Oh, that's the perfect shot coming out of Lou. Slayer follows up with one of his own, and that might just be the end of E36.
That is what you call a change of plans, an enforced change of plans. The Newcastle had all sorts of ideas. I'll get the wall down, I'll take that high ground off of them, but the well-timed shot coming in from Slayer just got that knock onto Newcastle. Now VP, Lou on our screens right now, trying to chase down the final player to make sure that Force 36 do not get to re-enter the game. What he's going to do is hit one or two more shots. Hop Watson, he had to reload. Doesn't have the light mag. Difference maker.
Never seen Gibby move so fast.
Oh man, Gibby shuffle.
He's got the moves. Oh, Zach is full sending. No, it doesn't even need a gun at this point. Well, even the ultimate's coming out here. Everything is being thrown. But sadly, Enter Force 36 do find their demise. 17 squads remain, so 3 early exits here on World's Edge. One of the criticisms of the map in scrims has been that people haven't been playing it properly, that they've been getting too aggressive in some of the fights, not playing for the late game. Well, it seems to be happening here on LAN as well. Some forced early engagements. We might have another one here on our hands as Dragons looking to try and take a fight over at Harvester. A very congested Harvester, may I add, is Alliance. Oh, Hackis, you've been chased by Furia.
Yeah, the other two members of Alliance are in Skyhook at the moment, so they'll be able to get the res pretty comfortably. Nobody else is really close enough for Furia to worry about. They will pick up the 1 KP, however, and add to their total on them. A little bit of a slow start here, but they've been chugging along today, Furia. It hasn't been the pop-off games, it hasn't been the monsters that we all remember, but game after game, you still get those points on the board as Hackis now will return. And I wonder if Hackis was just overextending there to see if he could get the Evo Harvester by Lava Fission before returning to his teammates. No harm, no foul. Maybe lost a couple of attachments, but Alliance will still be playing from the child side of Skyhook and still will be able to quite comfortably loot up and continue on their way.
I think with Furia, they've been, experimenting with Valkyrie as well. We saw some really good games from them earlier today. I think it has paid off for them. They've been consistent across the board. They haven't been amazing, like you said, but have been dropping points where they need to, as X and Y
Need to try and get back up to a full 3 here. I think they should be able to do so. They have so much distance between themselves and the team that's being aggressing on them.
One thing to highlight here, just looking at the kill feed, as we're seeing a couple of shots and knocks coming in from different teams. It's the first time in a long time that I've seen the kill feed, longbow, triple take, followed up by a charge rifle. 3 snipers in action, all of them doing the damage.
Most of them to be dropped by a nemesis as soon as they find it.
Oh, of course, or a scout, yeah.
And a lot of Peacekeeper. We've seen so much Peacekeeper action so far this tournament. Mastiff was probably the preferred shotgun during scrims, I would say, but yeah. Peacekeeper seems to be creeping up a little bit, and I wonder whether that's just something to do with LAN registration.
Yeah, it's maybe, like you say, a few more pellets are hitting.
Yep, more confident in the spread.
Yep. I always find personally that Eva is one of those guns as well, which is either the greatest gun in the world or I'd never want to pick it up again. But that's on me, I will say.
I feel like the Eva has a mind of its own sometimes.
Yep. TSG are going to lose one. Strafing Flame has been knocked. I have to wonder if there's going to be anyone close enough to see that being picked up. VP, who we saw a little bit earlier, taking down E36. They've got Meteor, who are wrapping them in zone at the moment, but Furia are also overlooking this fight, and VP have to be so careful. I'm not sure they actually know. Pings are going down, so I think Lou actually spotted them out, which is why Slayer and Lou are now trying to retreat to Zach Mazer. That's where you've got to be on in these games, right? You've got to be aware all the time of not just your own position, but your surroundings as well, because you can quite comfortably get called out.
VP, of course, the only team rocking Caustic. Lace was able to have a chat with Zach Mazer earlier and have a chat about it. Why are they playing the Caustic? How is it working out? Is it successful? And
I mean, we were doing some limit testing in the firing range as well with a few theories we'd crafted. Inconclusive were the results, I would say.
Yeah, we were trying to work out, you know, does a Newcastle wall actually destroy barrels, or does it engage the barrels and make them produce the gas? And the answer was it can do both. Depends where the wall is placing. If the wall is placed directly on top of a barrel, it will destroy it. However, if it's just a few inches off, it sets it off. So those caustic barrels placed correctly or a wall placed badly can really change a game.
Fnatic at the moment. Bubble going to come in to support his 2 teammates here from Yuka. Leica will be able to get to the bottom of Epicenter, but VP are still extremely close to this fight. Meteor with the team who are firing down on them, but you can see what the struggle is at the moment for Fnatic. They're kind of just pinched, and the worst thing about it is they're pinched and having to play in zone, and with 40 seconds or so until Zone 2 closes, Zone 2 hurts, but Zone 3 is where it really starts to influence your ability to get back into that zone if you're being peppered from a distance. The chip away at that health is going to be significant in comparison to Zone 2.
Also very sensible here from Virtus Pro, right? They are not going to continue their fight against Fnatic because they also recognize that they have a long journey here across World's Edge before that zone starts to tickle them as well. But they are going to potentially run into Dreamfire. You can see there in Monument. And then if they get further, there is the chance that Furia could be the next in front of them as well. So still a few teams that have to move quite some way, but that zone is going to continue to transition between staging and Harvester. So a team like Stallions, for example, could be in one of the prime positions that you were speaking of a little bit earlier. Liquid Alienware, I haven't seen much from them in this series. 12 points at the moment. Maybe they can find that pop-off game that they would desire to try and get to the upper half of this leaderboard.
Just trying to look if there's going to be people playing for not just third zone information, but potentially fourth as well. Thermal Station might be accessible, although certainly you're going to have to make sure that you have the heals to get in and out of there. The support class, of course, is going to have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to getting those heals off a little bit quicker and a little bit more efficiently. But elsewhere, just trying to look across, Lava Siphon's not going to be an option. So a team like Alliance might be thinking about wrapping towards Thermal, playing for that next beacon, and then trying to force their way in a little bit later. In the meantime, we'll jump into a listen in here with Virtus Pro as they're trying to hold people out outside of Fragment.
I think that is.
Two in zone, right? I have 8
two
ranges.
left, 2 left, 1 right. 2 left, 1 right.
We need to wait for this team behind us to go the other way.
Is there any way we can just go forward against them with Q and bubble into the tunnel?
Yeah, but I don't think it's good.
I'm gonna try to fernate this kid, okay?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the team behind us, guys. I'm most worried about that. We have enough white meds to sit in zone for a little bit and then go tunnel. Where is the team behind us?
Full team on the bridge, guys. Full team on the bridge, running at them,
That's good, that's good.
We can maybe tunnel? No, we can make space on the right. Should we make space on the right?
No, let me tack, Now we go AFK and they're gonna focus on us. Can we walk up and look down on them? Can we dome?
Yeah.
Give me second dome and barrel.
Bonus.
Second dome and
1
barrel.
HP, 1 HP, 1 HP. Give me,
Yeah,
guys.
give me
Just give me.
ulted.
Just chill. The other guys, play slow. The other team is going to fuck
Can I
them.
give you ult?
Yes, you can, to keep them in there.
give you
Nobody's
ulted then
clearing
now.
the other side of our tunnel, bro. Sky West could be here hitting beacon.
They might running me, guys. They're running
I'm
me
not
up.
with you, I'm not with you.
I'm with you.
Team
They're
behind
going
us.
across the bridge. They're going across the bridge.
Rampart team behind us on the other side of tunnel, man. I can't do anything about that. What's going on over there, guys? I can't look at you. I have to hold this
One
team.
HP Newcastle. Yeah,
One team.
They're
one
ready
team-
to gas. The left
one
team ready to
yeah,
gas.
one team ran left. I
Are
think
we
back-
okay?
I-
Are we
no,
fine?
I
We can
think
hit beacon landslide.
I think we want to leave. I think we want to leave. This is like a fuckfest.
Gold bin on me. Hit the bin reset on you. Purple bags on me. Everyone get a purple bag. I already have a purple knock. Could be getting ratted here. I would love to hit Mythic. I would love to hit Mythic.
I need cell, Zach. Drop him.
I have one cell.
I dropped you
I have
4.
1 cell.
Nobody's gotten Mythic, bro. I don't think anyone's going to get it.
We have 45 seconds, bro.
Now the comms back into the game. VP giving us a little bit of an insight into the communication going down between them. And you can hear it was a little bit hectic. And there was no surprise because all of a sudden Zone was closing. Furia were at their backs. Fnatic were involved just outside of the tunnel as well. And VP were worried about Dreamfire, who they thought potentially could be holding them out on the other side of that tunnel. But instead, things seem to have worked out for them for now.
Well, Guild maybe now getting the end of all that commotion that was happening as well. Fnatic are arriving into zone. You can see Sheila was out just to stop them, but Fnatic have done enough just to force Guild back because they're on blues. Elsewhere, you heard in the comms as well, I would love to hit the Mythic bin. I've said that many a time in my ranked games, but Virtus Pro did force Go Next off of said Mythic bin and are grabbing it right now. So VP are going to have access to it. There they are. Fantastic work from the observers as always. And your reward, 3 gold scouts. And a bow check.
And a bow check. Don't forget about the bow check. Certainly can do some damage in the right hands for sure. Guild now trying to work their way through Harvester towards this zone, and the teams who maybe thought this was pulling Harvester side or only had that option as somewhere to play and now going to have to leave. On the other side of zone, we are jumping back on board here with Virtus Pro. Unfortunately, it looks like Zach was one of the unfortunate beneficiaries from that Mythic bin. He wasn't allowed to pick up one of those gold scouts, even though he's pretty much got every attachment anyway.
He's like, don't have time, busy shooting. I really enjoyed the comms as well, just listening to how they were trying to navigate that space of the tunnel of 2 really just holding out the fight, but 1 making sure he was watching the other side. Couldn't allow a team just to walk up on them for free, otherwise they would have just been toast. But now they have worked their way into zone, have a Mythic bin, and control the northwest side here, and the zone looks pretty good for them. This isn't bad for Virtus Pro at all.
Yeah, I mean, all of the traffic, like I mentioned, is essentially on the Harvester side of the zone. So VP's position they find themselves in right here, it goes back to clearing a side of the zone now for them, right? If they can clear this western side of zone, they will have a free walk in, but they've still got a member of Go Next behind them. A couple of members of actually Go Next are still alive, although they are pretty split from each other. But the big worry for them is Alliance. Alliance and Liquid Alienware, who are kind of working their way around that zone, could be a problem. Go Next have been eliminated, so that solo player is going to go down as Fnatic look for more bodies in front of them.
They are chunking, but the team will be running with the tail between their legs, and Fnatic have to go back to their hidey hole as well. It is not safe out there. So many teams in and around Harvester at the moment. If you expose yourself a little bit too much damage might arrive to you as well.
To paint the picture for you here, there's 35 seconds left on this zone before it closes. You've got Complexity, Fnatic, you've got Meteor still alive here in Harvester, Guild, Dragons, VK Gaming, and Disguise all still in the buildings that make up Harvester. All of those teams have to leave. The only team who are essentially safe at the moment are right at the bottom of the final part of Harvester that sticks out to the west. Those double doors are occupied by Disguise. If they can stay there and hold off some of this traffic, they'll be in a great spot, but everybody else has to leave.
Yeah, I think Disguise on the low ground, VK Gaming above them. Those two should be safe, but the rest are just going to run into a wall and probably do damage on their way. This is where you've got to think about KP. Can you survive? If not, should we just try and find points where possible here? As Complexity, Bubble is down. They're having to back off as well because the Thermite is stinging.
Oh, they get wrapped themselves though. And even though Monsoon and Enemy are looking forward, unfortunately it's Kim Chi who finds out that there's other teams coming in from the other side. Enemy, I'll give him 5 HP because I'm feeling generous. It's late in the day. He's going to have a little bit of time here to pop the battery. Is he going to be able to rat out here for Complexity for some placement points though?
Still alive at the moment because everyone else is looking elsewhere as now Sheila starting to shred as Fnatic trying to pick up some KP.
Ouch.
1 goes in, 2 goes down, Dragons will be eliminated. 15 squads still alive, by the way, but Fnatic are trying to force their way into this zone.
Yeah, they have to. And unfortunately, they're being met by Sheila themselves. And a little bit of their own medicine there for Fnatic. Having held one team out with Sheila in their hands, they get mowed down as they try and work their way towards zone. 14 squads now remain, and the fight that I was kind of alluding to might take place a little bit earlier now is in front of us. Alliance are taking on Team Liquid Alienware in this fight, in and around this bubble. Couple of knocks going down, it's all on you, Unlucky.
So many grenades went down. Maybe Unlucky can still win this one, but he's going to opt to try and get the res instead. Doesn't work out. Alliance eliminated. Job done from Liquid Alienware.
In the meantime, VP were eliminated while that fight was going down, as now the third party comes in. Here from Envy. Drums is going to get the first, and Liquid Alienware will not be able to reset off of the back of that fight that they just had to take against Alliance. And now Envy, we talk about controlling a side of the zone. We talk about wiping a side of the zone and calling it your own. Well, Envy have done exactly that.
So many fights breaking out at the moment. Again, Dreamfire with Sheila trying to do as much damage. I Hate the World does do the initial damage, has to back off, but now gets back up to a full red here as X and Y have lost one, and maybe Dreamfire on top.
It's trying to do what he can. He's going to have a little bit of time to pop the shield cell to at least get 50 HP back. Has to reload that Peacekeeper though, and now that he has, it's time to send it into the bubble. Oh. X and Y will be eliminated, and he should be able to get the res here, but they're being wrapped by MTR.
Third party central right now, just when you think you're safe. You work so hard to win a fight, but you are instantly punished, and it's so difficult to try and find any reward as
Newcastle was swinging, the Newcastle went down swinging though. No ammo left in the gun, but now there's another 3P, and this is the traffic, all of which has come from Harvester.
It's what happens when you have a circle like this with not much playable space. Nowhere is really safe right now, so if you see an opportunity to take said space, to get some KP, boy, do you have to take it.
Let's go here. On the Gibraltar, no bot on that Peacekeeper means that he's not going to be too thrilled if a bubble fight breaks out. Skill try and dive down into the crevasse. They will do, but they've been spotted out here. The Newcastle wall goes just in the nick of time to give them a bit of cover to play.
They're not quite in zone right though. They have to push, they have to probably take this bubble fight. It's going to be against Furia as well, but Meteor are then going to be on the other side of that, but they've already lost one. Carnage down here.
This guy's eliminated. Meteor will go. Guild, maybe with that fight breaking out in front of them, will be able to toe their way towards zone, and that's exactly what they have done. We now find ourselves into the top 6, and for just a second, there's a moment for us to catch our breath here. R99 in the hands of QQ. Have to see if the old SMG can reintroduce itself here in a very shotgun-heavy meta.
So many grenades available to people as well, but you just have to do your best to try and avoid them. Maybe use a rampart wall that's available, someone else's rampart wall just to try and hide, and build a base right now as Guild get 2 knocks onto Furia.
Legacy did such a good job in that bubble fight. First in, but baiting himself so well, didn't take damage and allowed Phony to move in to clean up some of those pieces of Furia. Furia still have 1 player alive. Stallions, who have been, by the way, in the respawn building for the majority of the game, have now been evicted, as Crazy Raccoon will be playing up and around the roof of their building. They're now forced back inside as Envy move up. We'll jump into a listening now with Envy.
There's a team here. Careful,
Free kills on that, free kills on that.
Yo, listen to me! This is your fucking focus, okay?
Yeah.
Stop focusing on other shit. Keep them in the
I'm
building.
talking the other.
Keep them in the building.
Can you just destroy the door, okay?
Cover me, that team out far.
Newcastle
one. I knocked right part.
That team is aping them. That team's aping them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still holding the door, okay?
Yes, hold the fucking door.
Yeah.
It's a team inside. Shoot the Gibby.
They're still fighting.
That Gibby's one.
They're aping each other.
Gibby's one. I got him.
I threw a nade on them. I have shot.
Envy, the plan is very, very clear. Keep that team in the building. We can focus on the KP around. In the meantime, VK Gaming have been eliminated, and we find ourselves with just 4.
Stallions between Envy and Crazy Raccoon right now, but Guild, they're on the outskirts. Guild are avoiding all of this fighting that's happening on the southern side, and Guild, despite the fact they were in a really tough spot earlier, can now move all the way onto the north, control the northern side, and in a really good opportunity to maybe win this game. Yes, they're in the low ground right now, but they can just go unseen. They can wait, they can bide their time and wait for their moment.
Everyone in this building has to fight, and that's going to allow Guild to wrap up to the north, like you say, and potentially win this game. They've just got to pick their moment. They can't overextend. The last thing you want to do here if you're Guild is be the player to get knocked.
Really have to listen to each other and trust each other right now. Be patient, wait, take your time. But there could still be something done from one of these teams also, like Stallions, for example. They've not taken much damage yet.
Stallions, who have owned this building since the very start of this game, now have to win a big fight here to take the high ground away and focus their attention down to the low ground. But here comes Guild. 4 squads remaining, but so many players are weak. So many players have taken damage, and Stallions will fall.
Guild are so healthy though. They have the bubble, they have the shields to work with as well. And now you use your fists. Anything you can do